Well, now, when you did the first recording, a Stryper, the Yellow and Black Attack, it was like the mini EP, okay, where there were not as many songs on it. It was recorded with donated money. And everybody who donated, their name was listed on the back. You remember that, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And that was the money that was used to record that product with. Was that around $4,000 or?
Well, it wasn't all donated money, believe it or not. Some of it was in my pocket that I had been saving, but
some of it came out of Dad's and my pocket too.
Out of all of our pockets,
yeah.
But we did this thing where it was like what, $5? If you
$10,
$10 towards a band, you could get your name on the back of the record.
Yeah,
and it helped us to be able to do the early recordings of that, and until I think that the first budget for Yellow and Black Attack was $1,500.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine trying to do
back
a
in those
6-song
days,
EP for $1,500 today. It's crazy.
Yeah,
but we did it.
You couldn't do it. Do you guys have any plans to release any material that hasn't been previously released that was maybe written a long time ago?
I don't know. I mean, we've talked about it. We may. Mike and I at times, Oz and I, we've talked about some of the older stuff from the past, and I think some of it's really great stuff. So maybe we will.
Okay. Some people call you the visual timekeeper, but what they don't know is that you are very visually gifted. And the reason I say that is because you came up with the conception for the covers of the Yellow and Black Attack, Soldiers, the Angel cover for To Hell with the Devil, In God We Trust, the Yellow and Black Stripes, Isaiah 53:5. All of these were things that you contributed.
I came up with a name, and that was just kind of my thing to do. And each guy in the band does something a little different, and
that was your calling.
I guess it was a strength of mine, and each guy has their own strength, and when you put it together, it works like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, as long as each guy walks in their own calling, wherever their gifts are, and they don't try to get out of that realm and get into another realm, and then it works like a perfect marriage or whatever.
Well, back then it was like a machine that was just going forward, and everything just seemed to work, and it was really, really good. But the visual timekeeper thing, I've shortened it down to VT Keeper, and a lot of people still call me that, and I don't even remember how the name came up. I just remember telling someone I always thought that being visual was really important, because when you go to a concert, you're not only there to hear the music, because you could sit at home and listen to the music.
That's right.
You're going to watch a band perform the songs that you love.
Right.
And I just got tired of seeing drummers in a pair of shorts sitting behind a drum set where you couldn't see them.
Right.
And I wanted to be real visual. I wanted to, and when I say that, I don't mean taking anything away from playing. First and foremost, in my opinion, you got to sound great and you got to play great. Mm-hmm. But I just didn't want it to be the normal drumming thing.
Right.
So that's what I was trying to do, and that's the reason the visual timekeeper.
Well, that's a good name for you. That's great. Now, what is the future for Stryper? I notice that lately you guys are touring in countries that you've never been to before.
Yeah, we're getting ready to go to India, and we've been to a few places that we haven't been to in the past, and we're just kind of taking it, a day at a time, a week at a time, a month at a time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, no one knows the future, but it looks like we're getting ready to get a new record deal with Frontier. I've been told, I'm pretty pumped up about it. I've been told that's a...
Oops.
That's a go. And so we're waiting, to ink those contracts. But after that, I think it's probably in January. We're probably going to start recording a new Stryper record.
Okay. Who are your various endorsers? I know you have a lot of them. You have drumstick, drum head.
Yeah, I have some good companies behind me. I always have. And I've been real fortunate there. But the people that have been in my pocket lately and have really believed in me, of course, Crush Drums. I've got that on the shirt here. These guys used to work at D-Drum. Mm-hmm. And I know the guy that owns D-Drum, Elliot. What a great guy. And the D-Drum stuff was fabulous. But they decided to form a new company, and I wanted to go with them because they're incredible guys, so I knew the drums would be good. I just knew it. And they really are. And so I'm with Crush Drums and Stag Cymbals. I used to be with Pasty. I love Pasty cymbals. You guys, great cymbals. But, you know, people at companies change, and companies change their roster, and I ended up with Stag Cymbals, and I gotta say, they're really good. They're really good. And I've got a signature stick with Regal tip. And I remember when I was a teenager playing Regal tip sticks, and I never thought I'd have an endorsement with them. But I'm so glad I do. They're great sticks.
Good. That's a good... It means a lot to have good people that you work with at these companies when they endorse you. If you click with them and you get along with them, it means an awful lot.
Yeah, Evans heads have always been real behind me, and but then a lot of companies have. There's a lot of
Logos Drums.
Oh yeah, I wanted to bring that up. I'm glad you brought that up. There's a company here in Vegas called Logos, and they were kind enough to endorse my 15-year-old son, Blaine. He's a drummer. He's actually doing pretty good. He's out doing gigs, and he's done some recording. He's with a band called Slip Like Space. And they endorsed him with this beautiful green drum set that is just out of this world. The finish is phenomenal. And he loves it. He really does.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Early supporters in the church were like Matt Crouch, Raul Reese, Michael Guido. I remember Matt Crouch recording the first Stryper video. I remember Michael Guido telling Raul Reese about you guys, and you guys actually did a concert there at his church in West Covina. Do you remember that?
Of course.
And do you remember how Guido went to New York, and he was talking about how he was on the street and he met John Huey, and John Huey actually ended up being your booker, and it was phenomenal. It just gelled, you know, everything worked perfectly.
Yeah, but you know, we also have to include Darren Hinton. I mean,
yes,
without Darren Hinton, it wouldn't have worked. And I remember saying in prayer one day, God, we got to have $100,000, and maybe I should have asked for 10 million. But you live and you learn. But a few days later, we played at the country club, and Darren Hinton knocked on our dressing room door, and she had tears coming down her face. And I remember her makeup being smeared, and she said, I love you guys. I love what you're doing, and I've got $100,000 to invest.
Wow. Her and Terry Smith.
I was just blown away. Of course, wow. Terry's a sweetheart. But that was a time where things literally just seemed to come together. It was Guido's idea to throw Bibles in the crowd. Yeah. And I remember him, oh yeah, maybe we could put a Stryper sticker on it. And it just seemed to just flow. Yeah,
it did. As I recall, at one point, the Stryper van was hijacked, and Darren's brother Darby chased down the guy who took it. Did you actually see that? Did you witness that?
I was there. I drove the van. I was given a van that was from a movie of all titles, Seven from Heaven, if you can believe that. That was the name of the movie my van was in. And we were going to use it on the cover of Soldiers Under Command, so it was being repainted yellow and black stripes, but it got vandalized and stolen. And the guy that stole it, the brother of the woman, Darren Hinton, his name was Darby Hinton, it used to belong to him. And he got a hold of the guy that stole the van. We actually cornered the guy, the three of us, and Darby Hinton grabbed him and punched him and threw him out of the van, and I jumped in the van and drove it home. But like a week later, I remember hearing a weird sound, and I went out in the driveway and I saw a little boy underneath my van. And I looked down at the street, and the little boy got out and took off running. And I looked down at the corner of the street, and there was a tow truck, and it was the guy that had stolen the van, and he was there trying to tow it back again out of the driveway. Well, unfortunately, this isn't funny, but I stood there, and I was so, at this point, so terrorized by this guy and the things that he had done and the threats he had made. I remember praying, God, change his heart or get him out of my life. And I think that was in September, and they were found both shot in the head, and him and his girlfriend, they had pillowcases around their tied around their heads, and they were shot 6 times each in the head. And that the detectives from the LAPD showed up at the Stryper office, wanted to know if we knew anything about it, and I was so shocked because I went to go visit this guy, and they both had Stryper shirts on. And this is why they came to visit us.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a terrible thing. I wish that wouldn't have happened, but...
You and Darren went to Hollywood one day and hired someone to make that life-size photo of you guys, of the band that hung over the Rainbow Bar and Grill for a long time. Who made that? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I do remember I almost got killed because of that sign. I had to climb up. It was on the roof of the Roxy for about a month. And when it came time for another picture to go up there, this thing was like 8 feet, 10 feet tall,
huge.
By 6 feet wide, I think.
And it was heavy.
I had to climb up there with a friend to take it down, and the wind blew and almost yanked me off of the roof of the Roxy. So I came close to getting killed at the Roxy.
Wow. The Stryper video, honestly. Now that was filmed at the second Stryper office in Buena Park. And at that time, we all kind of lived close together. You lived at the office for a while, as well as others. And Mike and Kyle lived up the hill, like 4 blocks from where Dad and I lived. And then when you moved to the Los Coyotes house, you were still just down the hill. And then your sister lived in the apartment right there. And what was neat about this is that if we ever needed anything, you were usually right there if you weren't out on tour. If you were home, like if we needed stuff signed or we needed to ask your opinion about a letter or something, you were right there. And where does everybody live now?